Okay, so Prince Harry was in court today in regards to security arrangements. Everything you guys need to know in less than 10 minutes. Hey guys, it's Murad Murali, daily and consistent content. Let's get straight into this video. The Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, guys, is claiming that he basically has been singled out, pushed away, and has received unjustified inferior treatment in court today as he appeared at the High Court in London in the latest round of legal action over his security arrangements in the UK, and this was another court proceeding. Prince Harry is challenging the dismissal, guys, of his High Court legal action against the Home Office last year over a decision that they made by the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, Reivik, that he should receive a different degree of taxpayer-funded protection in his country. The Duke 40 sat behind his legal team in a packed courtroom, occasionally taking notes as his barrister Shahid Fatima told the Court of Appeal that the judge Sir Peter Lane had erred when he ruled last year that Reivik's choice, taken in early 20s after Harry and Meghan stepped down as senior working royals, was simply not unfair. Fatima told the court that Reivik had failed to apply its own terms of reference by not getting an assessment from an expert specialist body, called the Risk Management Board, RMB, and instead came up with a different and so-called bespoke process that basically was unjustified. Fatima added that appellant's case is not that he should automatically be entitled to the same protection as he was previously given when he was a working member of the royal family. The appellant's case is that he should be considered under the terms of reference and subject to the same process as any other individual being considered for protective security by Reivik, unless there is a reason contrary. She said the grounds of the appeal were that the judge had erred in his conclusion that there was good reason to depart from Reivik's terms of reference, and that Reivik could properly decide that the Duke was not within the other VIP category without procuring any analysis of the RMB, which should have been done. The judge has also erred by concluding Harry was not in a analogous position to those in the other VIP category. The core question raised by this appeal was whether Reivik had given a clear, logical and convincing reason for failing to do an RMB assessment. She said to that, the question is simply no. There was no specific proper assessment with RMB. They basically just made up a very quick choice to strip him of his security. Reivik's reasonings for not carrying out a Risk Management Board RMB assessment does not simply stack up. The Home Office, which has a legal responsibility for the committee's choice, is opposing the appeal, with its lawyers previously telling the High Court that the choice was taken on a case-by-case basis, and that is why on Harry's case-by-case security was stripped. In written submissions, Sir James Eadie KC for the department said Harry's challenge to the Reivik's choice was fair and accurate, analysed by the judge as relying upon inappropriate formalist interpretation of the Reivik's process and a mechanist overly literal approach, which was misconceived. He added, the appeal is fairly to be characterised in the same way. It involves a continued failure to see the wood for the trees, advancing propositions available only by reading small parts of the evidence. He added that the Home Office has and continues to treat the claimant in a bespoke manner. This approach was at all time a matter for the expert judge of Reivik, and the judge was right to find that it was lawful. The Court of Appeal hearing before Sir Geoffrey, Lord Justice Bean and Lord Justice Edis is due to be heard over today and tomorrow, and a choice is expected to be made at a later date a choice is expected to be made tomorrow, actually, as well. So the Duke of Sussex, guys, is challenging last year's ruling that Home Office's body fairly gave him a different level of protection. Of course, when Reivik took the protection after they stepped down in 2020, and, he feels like when he returns to the UK, he genuinely needs a proper, important level of protection, and it's not fair for the fact that it was stripped, and that Reivik should have definitely considered other bodies like the RMB properly, and, Harry's lawyers are saying that this was not done, due diligence was not done, and that basically it was unjust. It was inferior treatment, it was really unfair, and that they singled out Harry. Of course, the Home Office is basically stating that, this is a case-by-case basis. There was no singling out, but of course, Harry feels like he has been singled out in this case. And to be honest with you, it is difficult to consider it a case-by-case basis. Harry is not just, like, you're gonna know who Harry is, guys, when you're looking at his specific case. You know that he is the son of the king as of right now. And at the time, a prince and the son of the queen, a grandson of the queen. So you're going to know what Harry is, who he is, and how crazy this case is. So when you're looking at it at a case by case, what I'm saying is that unless you don't know this person and you're doing case by case and you're purely objective, that's different. But that's very unlikely considering that this is Prince Harry, and for the fact that, people know who this person is. One of the judges of the three Court of Appeals says, what if there doesn't have to be an RMB assessment? Why is that reasoning so flawed? Why are you stating this? As he interrupts Harry's barrister. Harry's barrister then responds, Fatima, and says, when you're looking at the material, I'm asking you to see whether there is a clear, logical, and convincing explanation. I'm suggesting the reasoning we see is simply not clear. There are parts of Shahid Fatima's case that she cannot go into fully and which will be heard in the closed session tomorrow. I will hopefully show you what the RMB does in more detail when I can make more candid submissions showing you tomorrow. It will be my submission that there are things that the RMB does, very significant things, views that it gives that are now being done by others. Harry's barrister argues that there are errors in the original judgment. That's basically the case of Fatima. She is basically stating that you know, has turned to errors she's arguing. She focuses on the 2017 Ravik term of reference, which are repeatedly referenced in the original judgment, and whether they require the committee to complete a risk analysis by the RMB board. Harry's lawyers say no RMB analysis was taken prior to the choice to downgrade his security. Fatima argues that there are laws in how the judge treated the terms of reference, amongst which is his agreement with Home Office's position that this document and the other later terms of reference cannot be treated as hard-edge policy documents. Interesting. So she's going back to terms of reference from Ravik within themselves. According to Fatima's argument, she also states that there does not appear to have been any formal meeting nor any official notes regarding the Duke's security. Fatima has further set out that the Prince did not have access to the detail on how choices about his security were even being made. Interesting, guys. Very interesting, strong points from Fatima. And today's hearing is an appeal against the previous judgment. For those of you who don't know, I just want to echo myself. And Fatima has argued that the previous judge did not properly evaluate the evidence at all. Meanwhile, barristers representing the Home Office will begin to address the court once Fatima is finished, and their written submissions put forward that Harry is relying on an inappropriate formalist interpretation of the Ravik process is basically what their argument has been. The court is packed, guys, with press and lawyers. I just want to make that very clear. This all happened today as of, a couple of hours ago. So this is interesting, and the remainder of the court details. So this is interesting, and the remaining of the court proceedings will take place tomorrow with a conclusion as well in regards to what is happening. I think that Fatima, Harry's lawyer, is putting a strong argument with the fact that certain specialist bodies were not considered, and that, that should have been the case. Obviously referencing, Ravik's own words and using them against, and, basically, even if the security hasn't completely been removed, for the fact that he's been stripped, and it's obviously, been a step down hugely without even notes and formal official stuff being taken, is a pretty big thing to consider. He feels it's unjust. He's been singled out, and of course for Home Office to say, well, this is the case by case, doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest with you, because we know who Prince Harry is, and for the fact that certain levels of security should have been done, certain processes should have been done in regards to contacting RMB, which basically were not done. And, it's not clear as to why, is what Fatima is stating. So we're going to see what's basically going to be concluded tomorrow. But Prince Harry was in court today. This was the gist. This was the, the review that I wanted to give you guys. Hopefully you guys can understand what I'm saying. It is a little bit confusing, that I will say, especially with all of these abbreviations and terms and bodies. It can be quite confusing when we are discussing this, but hopefully you guys get the gist of what I'm saying, and hopefully I explained it properly for you guys. Let me know if I have or if I have not. I would be intrigued to know. Comment down below, give this video a thumbs up, send a tip if you guys wish to. There's a $sign there. You can send whatever you want and it goes a long way, and I'll catch you guys soon for another video.